In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable mason jar cozy. We are going to start off by making the mason jar cozy, and then we're going to make a strawberry applique that we'll sew on. And I think this would just be so adorable if you were to put this on a mason jar, and if you made a homemade strawberry jam to give this away as a gift. That would be just a cute way to present it. Let's go ahead and get started. So today we will be using a red acrylic yarn and a white acrylic yarn. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start off using our red yarn, and we're going to make a slip knot first. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to start off by chaining 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are going to connect that with a slip stitch to form a ring. So you want to just go ahead and insert the needle, the crochet hook, into the first chain that we created and join that with a slip stitch. Alright, so now that we have our ring, we are going to, for round 1, we are going to do 6 single crochets. And what I'm going to do, and what I like to do, is I like to work that tail around, just hold it alongside my work and work it into the work. That way we don't have to go back in and weave it in when we're finished. So let's go ahead and chain 1 and then do our first single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've completed our 6 single crochets. So we are going to join that with a slip stitch into the first single crochet that we did of this round, and that completes our first round. So now you see we have a little bit of a hole, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that tail until we close that hole up nice and tight. And now we're going to start with round 2. So now what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1, and in this round we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. Let's go ahead and do our first one is 1, and let's go ahead and work that tail in. There's our second single crochet in the same stitch. There's 2 single crochets in that first one, and then the next same thing, 2 single crochets, and the next 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets, and we're going to do that 2 single crochets in every single stitch. So when we're done with this row, or this round, we will have 12 single crochets. At least you should have 12 single crochets. So now if you're not sure if you should do 2 more, you just go ahead and count it. How many stitches you've got so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we do have 12 stitches, because sometimes that one looks like another stitch, but it's not. So we have our 12 single crochets. So we're going to go ahead and join that to form a ring with a slip knot to the first single crochet, to the top of the single crochet that we did, the first single crochet of this round. Alright, I'm going to work that tail in because I don't want to have to weave it in at the end. Alright, I'm going to pull that again a little bit just to make sure that hole is closed up as much as we can get it. And of course you could have started this with a magic ring as well. So now we are going to move on to round 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a single crochet. In the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochets. And then in the next we're going to do a single. And then the next one, 2 single crochets. So as you can see, we're alternating. A single crochet, then 2 single crochets. A single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. So it's every other stitch we do 2 instead of 1. So I'm going to do a single here, 2 single crochets in this stitch. And of course, when you do 2 single crochets in the stitch, we're increasing because we want the round to get bigger and bigger. So that's an increase stitch actually. So we're going to go ahead and do 2 single crochets in this one, and then 1 single crochet, and then 2, and then our single crochet. So now I've got that tail all the way worked into my work, so I won't have to weave that in when I'm done. So now we're going to go ahead and count our stitches and make sure we should have 18 when we're done with this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now we're going to go ahead and connect that with a slip stitch to that first single crochet of the round. Alright, so we have completed our round 3. So let's move on to round 4. So in round 4, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next, and then 1 single crochet in the next 2, and then 2 single crochets. So let's go ahead and start. Chain 1, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So next stitch, 1 single crochet, and then the next one we're going to do 2 single crochets. So that is our increase stitch there. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then in the next one you want to do 2 single crochets in the same stitch there, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2. So I'm sure you see in the pattern here, so basically do 2 single crochets and then 2 in the same stitch. So now we're going to go ahead and do 2 single crochets in the next one, and then a single crochet in this stitch and a single crochet in the next one, and then in the next stitch 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets, and then 1 and 1. Now if you're not sure if you need to do more, you can always stop and count your stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We actually need to have 24 stitches when we complete this round, so we do want to include this stitch. So let's go ahead and do 2 single crochets in this last one here, and then we're going to go ahead and, just like the last row, we're going to go ahead and join it with a slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet at the beginning of the round. Okay, so we're moving on to round 5. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. There's 1 single crochet and 1. That was 3 stitches that we had single crochets in, and then the next one we want to do 2 single crochets, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then we want to do 2 single crochets, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So that's just 1 single crochet in each of these 3 stitches. So then after that we're going to put 2 single crochets, and then the next 3 stitches we're just going to put 1 single crochet in each one. That's 1, 2, and that's the 3rd stitch. Okay, so then this one we're going to put 2 single crochets, which is the increase stitch again, because we want our round to get larger. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in this last one, And we're going to form a ring by doing a slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet that we began the row with, the round. So when you're done with round 5, you should have 30 stitches. So now we're going to move on to round 6. And we are actually done with increasing our rounds now, because let me just show you how that's 5 rounds, and that's going to be basically the base, the bottom that's going to cover our mason jar, and that's just the perfect diameter there. So now we're no longer going to be doing rounds with any increases. So we're just going to work in a continuous, just one single crochet in every single stitch now. So at the end of this round, you will have 30 stitches. So let's go ahead and chain 1. And we're going to do a single crochet in the same one that we just did there. And then we're going to do one single crochet in every single stitch. And we're going to do that until we get to the end of the round. So just one single crochet all the way around. This is round 6. Okay, so we're continuing around just with one single crochet in every stitch. Okay, so when we reach the end of this, we'll have 30 stitches, because we're no longer doing any increased stitches at this point. We are done increasing our rounds now. It's a matter of 30 stitches in every row now, or every round. This is a round, because I'm doing a circular pattern here. Okay, so we are moving on to round 7. So basically round 7, round 8, and round 9 are all going to be the same. It's a single crochet, and we'll have 30 stitches when we're done with each round. So round 7, go ahead and chain 1, do a single crochet in every single stitch. Okay, so when you are finished with this, then you'll do round 8, which is the same, one single crochet in every stitch. So you'll have 30 stitches when you're done with round 8. And then round 9 is also the same. It's a single crochet in every single stitch. So you'll have 30 stitches when you're done with that. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pause the video here. And when you're done with your 9th round, meet me back here. Okay, so we're just finishing up round 9. And we're going to just go ahead and connect that with a slip stitch. And then you want to cut off the yarn and leave a good sized tail to weave in, so that way it won't unravel on you. And this is, at this point on the 10th round, we're going to add and change to our white yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and insert I have one hook on there, so I'm going to insert into the next stitch, and I'm going to pull that white yarn through, and then I'm going to pull that through that red loop, and I'm going to chain 1 and go back into that same stitch to do my first single crochet. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to work those tails in along our work, hold it along the edge there and work it into our work, so that way we won't have to weave it in later. And let's go ahead and weave that in. So now what we're going to do is we are going to do a single crochet in every stitch. So we'll still have 30 stitches when we're done with each round. So go ahead and do a single crochet in every stitch. So working it just the same as we did the last round with the red. We're just going to continue, but we're going to be using a different color now. And we are going to do 6 rounds with the white, And every round is going to be the same, so it's very easy from this point forward. It's just a single crochet in every single stitch for the next 6 rounds. We want to have 6 rows of white. Okay, so just keep going around until we get to the end. And I'm working those tails in because I do not want to weave them in later. You know, when I first started crocheting, I never worked the tails in. And then at the end, I'd finish my project and I'd be like, oh no, I have to weave in all these loose ends. And that was never any fun because you have this beautiful project. It's like, oh, now you have to spend all this time doing that. And weaving the tails in is not fun. Crocheting is fun, but not weaving in the tails. Now I just work it right through my work, and it's so nice to have it when you're done with your project. You don't have the loose ends, and it's all finished and looks beautiful, ready to use. Okay, so we're almost done with this first round of white, which is actually our 10th round. Alright, so we're going to join that with a slip stitch to that first chain. And it's a little tight, so sometimes if you have trouble, you can just turn your hook a little bit that way and get that in there, and then pull that in and do a slip stitch. Okay, so now we're going to go on to another round of white, so go ahead and chain 1. Do a single crochet and do the same as the previous row. Single crochet in every stitch. Okay, so we're going to do this until we have 6 rows, rounds, should I say, because we are working in the round here. When we have 6 rounds of white, I'll meet you back here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and when you're done with 6 rows, meet me back here. Okay, so we're back here, and we now have 6 rows of the white. I'm just finishing up. I'm going to go ahead and connect that with a slip stitch. So that completes my 6 rows of white yarn. And let's go ahead and fit that onto our cozy and make sure it still fits. So tip it upside down and just feed it right over there. Perfect. And at first, if it's a little tight, that's fine, because actually acrylic yarn tends to stretch over time. So let's go ahead, and now we're going to go ahead and change to our red yarn and continue our rounds. So let's go ahead and cut off the white yarn here. I'm going to leave a long tail just like we did with the red yarn, so I can weave that into my project. I'm going to go ahead and wound that up, put that back in my little basket here. So I have this little plastic basket, and then I feed the yarn through the holes here. I was able to find this plastic basket that has these holes, and I think it's just perfect because then I can pull the yarn through there, and then if the yarn doesn't fall onto the floor. How perfect is that? So here I have my red yarn here, and I have it through the holes, so that way I won't be chasing the balls, running around all over the floor, rolling all over the place. Believe me, if I did, my cat would be chasing them around, getting into the yarn. Okay, so now we are going to move on to, this is going to be round 11. Actually, that's not round 11, sorry. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and take that and insert that right into the next stitch and pull up the red yarn right through. And then I'm going to slip that right over, and then I'm going to do a chain 1 and insert that back into the same hole and do a single crochet. And then I'm just going to pull those 2 tails there to tighten it down. Okay, so this is actually our 16th round. So we are going to do a single crochet in every stitch around, and I'm going to work those 2 tails in just like we did before. Do a single crochet in every stitch around, and of course we'll have 30 single crochets when we're done with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 rounds of the red yarn, let's go ahead and do 4 rounds just the same way we did the previous 6 rows of white. Same thing. So go ahead and meet me back here when you have 4 rounds of red completed, and I will meet you back here shortly. Okay, so we're just finishing up our 4th round of red yarn, and we're going to connect that with a slip stitch to that first single crochet at the beginning of this round. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to finish off this edge and make it look really nice. What I like to do is I like to do a slip stitch in every single stitch around. So go ahead and insert the hook into the next stitch and do a slip stitch. And you don't want to do it too tight, because then it's just going to be too tight and it won't fit over our mason jar. Sometimes if you have a tendency to really make your stitches too tight, then I would recommend actually changing to the next size up on your crochet hook. Get a larger crochet hook and do your slip stitches. That way it won't be too tight, and it won't fit if you make it too tight over our mason jar. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a slip stitch in every single stitch around. And if you can see how that gives a nice finished edge, where if we didn't do it, it would look like that. I really like the way that looks. It gives a nice finished edge. Okay, so I'm just going to do that in every single stitch. Okay, we should be almost done here. Oh yes, we just have a few more now. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and cut off the tail here and fasten off. We are now completely done with our mason jar cozy. Except for now, what we want to do is we want to create our strawberry applique. So what you want to do is you just want to weave this in to your cozy. And if you just wanted a white and red cozy, then you're done. But I am going to add a strawberry applique. So that is the next thing we'll do. So first, let's go ahead and weave in this red yarn. This tail here. Okay. Oops. I went right back through that hole and it came back out. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so I'll weave that all the way in. Okay, I'll weave it in on the back side just a little bit. Alright, so when you have wove that in as far as I need to, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the tail here. Alright, so that completes the cozy. So now, let's go ahead and try that onto our mason jar and see if it fits just nicely on there. So I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. Alright, there we go. It's a little tight at first, but that's because it does stretch. So you don't want to do it too loose. I mean, that fits just perfect. Look at that. That looks great. So now let's go ahead and start working on our strawberry applique. Okay, I had to go get some green yarn, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Be right back. Okay, I'm back and I've got some green yarn here, and I'm going to use the green yarn for my stem. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with the strawberry. So let's go ahead and begin our strawberry applique, and I'm going to actually use the same size crochet hook that we used to create the Mason jar cozy is still a size H or 5mm crochet hook. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a slip knot, or if you prefer you can always use a magic ring. It's just a preference. So go ahead and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to join that with a slip stitch to the first chain that we created to form a ring. Alright, so now what we want to do is we're going to move on to round 1. We're going to chain 1 and do a single crochet. We're going to actually do 6 single crochets in the center of this ring. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that is the last stitch of this round, and we're going to go ahead and join that with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of this round. We now have 6 single crochets. So I didn't work this tail in to the work because I want to have that left over so we can sew our strawberry onto our cozy. So now the second round we are going to do 2 single crochets in every stitch. So we're going to chain 1, insert that back into that stitch and do a single crochet and do a second one in the same stitch. Next stitch, 2 single crochets. Next stitch, 2 single crochets again. And just do 2 single crochets in every single stitch. So when we're done, we'll have a total of 12 single crochets when we're done with round 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and count our stitches and make sure we have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. That is exactly what we want to see. Alright, so let's go ahead and connect that with a slip stitch to that first single crochet of this round. Alright, we have 12 single crochets. We are completely done with the second round. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that tail to get that hole as tight as I can and close that up. Alright, perfect. Alright, so now we're going to move on to round 3. And actually this strawberry applique only has 3 rounds, so it works up very quickly. It's very easy and really fast. So let's go ahead and chain 2. And we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then 3 treble crochets in the next stitch. So 3 treble crochets in the same stitch. That's the second one. Third treble crochet. And then we're going to do a half double crochet. Alright, so that was 3 treble crochets in that stitch. And then we're going to do 2 half double crochets in the next 2 stitches. So half double crochet, and then the second half double crochet in that same stitch. And then the next stitch, 2 half double crochets. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then 3 treble crochets in the next one. So 3 treble crochets in the same stitch here. Alright, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next one. And then 2 half double crochets in the next 2 stitches. Three treble crochets in the next stitch. So 3 treble crochets all in the same stitch here. And then 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and that, now we're actually done. So we're just going to join that to, remember that first chain 2 that we did, that counts as a double crochet. We are going to insert our hook there at the top and join it with a slip stitch. Alright, so we are actually done with our strawberry applique right there. So now let's go ahead and cut the tail off. Leave a nice long tail so that we have plenty to work with to sew it onto our cozy. So now I'm going to go ahead and just pull that through, fasten off, and we are done. Alright, so moving on to the leaves of the strawberry. And I'll show you what that looks like here. So we're going to work on this, and I'm going to use a green yarn. You can use any shade of green that you like. I'm using a darker green yarn today. So I'm going to go ahead and feed that through the hole of my little basket here. Keep it from falling on the ground. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with a slip knot. Okay, so now we are going to start off by chaining 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to skip this first chain closest to the crochet hook and slip stitch in the next one. So skip that first one and do a slip stitch in the next chain. Whoops, slipped right off there. Try that again. Alright, perfect. Oh, now let me try that again because that frayed the yarn a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Alright, so we're going to skip that first chain and we're going to insert it into the next one and do a slip stitch. Oops, let me fix that. Alright, there we go. Okay, and then single crochet in the next chain, and then do a half double crochet in the next one, and then a slip stitch into that next chain. Okay, so that completes our first leaf right there. And now we're going to start the stem. So what you want to do is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to skip that first chain that's closest to the hook, and we're going to do a slip stitch in the next 2 chains. So we're working back down that stem with slip stitches towards the leaf again. Okay, so there's our stem. So now what we want to do is we're going to work on our second leaf. So we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. And then what you want to do is you want to skip that first chain that's closest to the hook again. And you're going to do a slip stitch in this chain right here. And then you're going to do a single crochet in the next one, and then a half double crochet in the next chain, and then a single crochet in this one here. Okay, so now what you want to do is, you can see right here where that tail is, where we began our work, you want to insert the hook right there in that stitch right there, and right in that hole right underneath that, where we began, and then close that with a slip stitch. And there we have completed our stem and leaf. So let's go ahead and cut that off, and we're going to leave a little bit left over to sew it on to our applique. You can say the word right. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull that through. Alright, so we have completed our little leaves and stem for our strawberry. And we're going to sew that on there. That's just going to look so adorable. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew that on. Now, there's my plastic crochet needle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and line up the stem where I want it. Put our Just like that, I think. Alright. Now I'm going to go ahead and feed that into the needle. Okay, let's place that on there. Just the way, any way you like it. I'm going to put it kind of centered. Okay, so I'm going to sew this on here. This is going to be so cute when we're done. I think it'll make a great gift. Especially if you fill the mason jar with strawberry jam. How cute is that going to be? Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to just push that up a little bit to make the leaves stand out a little bit more. See? That'll look good. Okay, so I'm going to leave that right there in the center, and then I'm going to go ahead and take that other tail and work on this side until they meet in the middle there on the back. Alright, let's see. Make sure I place that right where I want it. I think that looks just adorable. I like how when we work the leaves and the stem, that it's all one piece. You don't have to work, two separate leaves and the stem. It's all one piece. It makes it so much easier. Alright, so we're almost done sewing the stem on, and I think it looks, doesn't it look more strawberry-like now that we have the leaves on there? And that little stem? Definitely shaped just like a strawberry. I think it looks great. Alright, so now I have the two tails on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and just tie those in a couple of knots so they don't unravel on us. And I'm not going to cut those off just yet, because when we sew it on, we're going to need to sew it on a little bit to the cozy. So I'm going to go ahead and set those aside. So now what we want to do is we want to create our seeds, just like this. Now I used a white yarn to create the seeds. Of course you could use a black yarn if you prefer, or even little beads. How cute would that be? But today we're going to go ahead and use the white yarn. So I'm going to cut off a good length of the white yarn to create our seeds. And I'm going to go ahead and feed that through the hole of the needle. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start creating our little seed. So obviously you want to insert it from the back, and then pull that through, but you don't want to pull it all the way through, of course. So now let's go ahead and then don't put it back in the same hole, because it'll just come right back out. I've done that before. So then go ahead and create a little seed. There's our first seed. Make another one here. And of course you can make as many seeds as you want, or as few. There's no right or wrong here. Any way that you like it and whatever looks good to you. And I think actually strawberries have quite a few seeds on their surface. So I'm going to add quite a few of these white seeds here. I'm just going to go around and make sure I don't tangle up those other parts, those other threads that we have in the back. going to use the tie on, well not tie on, but sew on, sew our applique onto our cozy. I'm just going to keep continuing around creating the seeds. That's a good thing that was a plastic needle because I just stabbed myself in the finger. So definitely much safer using a plastic needle for the threading here. Okay, so now you see that seed that I just did? Kind of really can't see it. So what I do, if that happens, you just go right back over it so it stands out more. So just right there. I'm trying to make sure I don't tangle up all those other loose pieces of yarn back there. Okay, perfect. Now you can see that seed better. That one will probably be too big. Let me see. Maybe not. We'll see. Okay, cute. That looks good. I think if you were to get those little tiny seed beads, that would look so cute on here too. Alright, so I'm going to keep creating a few more of these seeds here. Oops, that one went right through. You see that? I want to go ahead and try that again. Oh, I did it again. Alright, let me try that again. Let's see if I can get it right this time. There we go. Much better, right? Oops, that one's getting tangled. Let me make sure I don't tangle up all those threads back there. Oh my goodness, I did it again, guys. I went right through. And it came right back out the other end. Because I put it through the same hole. Alright, there we go. Much better. Alright, we're almost done. Of course, you can put more seeds or less than this, whatever your preference is. There's no wrong or right, whatever you like, whatever looks good to you. It's just perfect. Alright, I'm going to add just a few more here in the center, I think. Right here. I think I'll put one over here too. Alright, so we are now done creating the seeds. And of course, if you want to put more or less, that's perfect. So that definitely looks more strawberry-like now that we have our little seeds on there. So now we are ready to sew it on to our cozy. It's going to look like this when we're done. So let me go ahead and I'm going to slip that cozy right off of that mason jar here. Let me set that aside here. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to look at your cozy and find the nicest side. And if you flip it over, you can kind of see this side here. That's where we transitioned and changed colors. We went from the red to the white and then the white to the red. So you can see this, it's not perfectly straight here, where on this side it looks much prettier. It's nice and straight here. So this is what we want to do is we want to pick the side that has the imperfections where we transition to the other colors. And that's the perfect place to put our strawberry applique and hide those imperfections. Perfect. So let's go ahead and place your strawberry where you would like to have it to sew it on. And I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to have the strawberry sticking up just a little bit there, strawberry stem. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we've got all these threads, so we kind of have to keep track of them here. So I'm going to start off with a green one because I want to sew that stem on. Start with that. Oops, it moved on me. That's alright. We'll place it again here after we thread our needle. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew it on. Alright, move that out of the way. Oh, this is going to be so cute when we're done. Oops, it slipped off, so I'll just go ahead and redo that. I think it's starting to fray a little bit. There we go. I've got it on there. Alright, so now I'm going to leave that in the back like that. I'm going to find that other piece of green thread, that loose thread there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and thread it on to the crochet needle. Alright, let's see. First I'm going to go through this way. Move these down. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and sew it right to the green. Oops, it slipped off again, so let me go ahead and re-thread it. Almost done sewing the green stem on. Alright, so now I'm going to put that there. Okay, so now I've got the two green loose yarns back there, so I'm going to tie them together. So that way it won't unravel on me. Alright, so now I'm going to move on to, actually let's go ahead and cut off those little threads there. If you want to, what you can do is weave them down a little bit first before you cut them. I'm going to just weave them down a little bit more to the center here. That was a little short there. Let me see if I can get that. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and tie it again. That will definitely keep it from unraveling, coming undone. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off those little tails, but I'm not going to cut it right next to the knot because then it would probably unravel on us. So let's do that. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and pull up some. Okay, so these white threads, let me get those out of the way because we really don't need those now. So let me just here so I can have them meet in the middle a little bit so I can tie them together. So that's close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and tie that into 2 or 3 knots. And see, this is the back side, so we don't really have to worry about how that one looks because you're not going to see that. So we just want to concentrate on how the front of the strawberry looks to make sure that looks real pretty because that's the side you're going to see. Okay, so now we want to go ahead and get that red yarn and sew on our strawberry. So first I'm going to put it to the other side. And I'm going to go around and sew it on. I'm just putting my thumb where I left off so I can kind of remember where it is. It needs to come back through. Oops. And you want to make sure you don't go through both parts. I've done that before, and then you won't be able to get your mason jar through. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get that other strand of yarn here. Work on the other side, sewing that on. Alright, so first, I'm going to go through this way. We are almost done. And I think it looks just adorable. This has been a fun project. I think it's just adorable. Okay, so one more stitch here. Now I'm going to go back to the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to turn that inside out so I can tie those two together. So about 2 or 3 knots there so they won't come undone. That's 2. Alright, let's do a third one. Alright, that one's not going anywhere. Now, what I always like to do, instead of just cutting it there, I like to weave it again and then tie it one more time. So that way I know it won't come undone. Okay, so let's go ahead and tie that 2 or 3 knots here. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut that, but not right next to the knot. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn it right side out again. Oh wow, doesn't that just look adorable? I think that is so cute. Alright, let's go ahead and put our mason jar on there, put it on. And I think it's easiest to put it upside down. Alright, see, it slips right on there. And then just go like this to bring it up to the edge. Because you don't want to have it overlap this, because you want to be able to put your lid on once you fill it with your strawberry jam. So that is just perfect. I hope you enjoyed this project. Thank you for joining me today to work on this mason jar cozy. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like, please subscribe. And that way you'll get a notification when I upload my next video for the next project. Until then, happy crocheting. Thank you, and bye-bye.